I was saved in a Pentecostal church, and I left for a different one because I was told that I had to speak in tongues. I was instructed to just start basically babbling, and the language would come. Well, yeah, okay. So this is very much a valid criticism of Pentecostal churches. This is actually a very common practice that still happens, and I really don't agree with it. There are very bad consequences to this. What they call it is tripping the tongue. You just start making up words, your tongue will trip and it'll take over, and suddenly you'll be speaking in tongues. This practice is based off of the idea that speaking in tongues is the initial physical evidence. Now, granted, I attend a church that believes this. They do believe that speaking in tongues is the initial physical evidence. I don't agree with them on it. I can still attend this church because the tongues is the least of all the gifts. And quite honestly, they don't harp on it like they used to. But there are still churches that do. If you pressure someone into speaking in tongues, all you're going to do is encourage them to fake it, just to get you off their back, you know? There is nothing biblical about just start speaking random things and eventually the Holy Spirit will take over. That's not biblical at all. People spoke as the Holy Spirit gave them utterance, not they started off and then it happened. No. This is where I very much depart from the doctrine of the denomination that I attend. I believe in mostly everything else they teach, but there are other things that I disagree with them on as well. I do not believe you can lose your salvation, and the denomination, they believe you can. So we disagree on that too. But this practice of bullying people into being Pentecostal, quote unquote, is ridiculous, damaging, and not biblical. The only evidence they have for speaking in tongues happening when people are baptized, there are 2 instances out of 4 where in the Bible where people are baptized, and in 2 of them, people spoke in tongues. What about the other 2? Well, they say, oh, it's just implied, they didn't have to say it every time. Believe me, I've used that argument before when I believed it. Well, I've seen too much to keep on believing it. I do believe speaking in tongues is real. I've done it. I've had evidence that what I did was real, but I felt the compulsion. I know what it means when it says gives them utterance. It's not just, I feel like I need to, so I'm going to start babbling. No, it's not that at all. So, if you're a part of a church that bullies people into speaking in tongues, I want to encourage you to rethink that.